I'm Lou Rosalia, and this is the AI Cockroach Show.
Am I the only one that didn't know cockroaches could be epic? Buckle up, because this AI cockroach is about to take you on a wild ride through time. Imagine stepping out of a prehistoric mud puddle and walking through the ages. The AI cockroach has done just that, from lush jungles to ancient caves, from straw huts to log cabins, and from bustling city streets to the futuristic space age. This little survivor has seen it all. With a blend of humor and resilience, the AI cockroach teaches us that adaptability is key. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving no matter what life throws at you. So whether you're facing the challenges of today or the unknowns of tomorrow, channel your inner AI cockroach. Embrace change, stay strong, and keep moving forward. Survive the future, one tiny step at a time.
What a great show. I am double excited today because not only do we have one brilliant mind, we have two brilliant minds. We have a very special guest, Bobby Owsinski. You'll learn a ton more about him. And of course, we have Joe Scott-Jafaro with us. These guys know each other a very long time, and they're both thought leaders in the industry. Joe, I'm going to pretty much leave most of this in your hands and just chime in when I got a question that's burning.
Okay,
So
Bobby, thanks. Thanks again for joining us. You and I have known each other for decades, which scares the hell out of me. That there's being 30 years old, it's hard to believe we've known each other for decades.
Yes.
And during that time, I've come to know you as an accomplished musician, an accomplished music producer, an accomplished recording engineer, and you're highly technical. And when I say accomplished, I don't mean, oh, he's good. I'm saying he's accomplished at the highest level of our industry. And it's just so cool that you've done all those things. And on top of that, which I don't know how you have any time to do anything, you've also authored dozens of books sharing that knowledge on all of those subjects. Now, your latest book, The Musician's AI Handbook, explores something near and dear to our audience, the applied technology of AI. This book goes into great detail on how musicians can use AI to write, record, produce music, and it even touches on how AI can be used in the business of music. So for now, let's start with the elephant in the room. Why isn't AI going to replace the need for musicians?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Joe and Lou. I appreciate, and thank you for the kind words. It's all due to my OCD. I have time for everything. Why isn't, well, okay, let me put it like this. Since AI has become such a big deal and has so much hype, and you can't, you trip over it everywhere, no matter what you look at. There's been a great deal of pushback from creatives, and surprisingly enough, it's younger creatives. The younger creatives can spot anything that's AI generated in a second, and they don't like it. And that's one of the reasons why it's not going to take over from us. Now, as using it as a tool, it's pretty fantastic. Using it as a creation generator, whether it be video, whether it be music, you name it, text even for emails and stuff like that, people can spot that stuff. So if you're not interacting with it somehow and putting that human element in, then it's not going to work. People will spot it and they won't like it. So the human is still a major part of any of the creative processes that we have and we're involved with.
And you just summed up what every one of the great minds that we've had on in all different genres. We've had people who are doing AI in camera, people doing AI in video, as you said, screenplay writers. We've all come to the same conclusion. It's an assistant. Yeah. If you can learn to talk to your assistant and communicate your vision with your assistant and go back and forth, you'll find it to be an invaluable tool. If you use it to replace, as if some executive came in and said, we don't need music anymore, I'll just go and pump this in and it'll come out. As you said, everybody who's attuned to it is going to catch it like that. There's no soul.
Yeah, that's it exactly. There's no soul. And again, people can feel that right away. I mean, there's not a lot of soul in a lot of modern music from the standpoint that it's so loop based and it's sample driven. So we've already lost a lot of the soul of real players, but the real players generate the loops many times. So,
Right.
at least there's some of it there. But when it comes down to, I'll just stay in music because it's my lane here. When it comes down to music generation via AI, people can spot it and they don't necessarily like it. Now we do see it popping up in a lot of places, and there's two places where AI is actually making a big impact in the music business. One is in production music, and you've probably seen this yourself, where, and especially like for YouTube videos and documentaries and things like that, and music doesn't want to call attention to itself. So this kind of works okay. And the composers that I know that are in that world are being hurt for sure. The other place is in audio mastering. For those of you who don't know, audio mastering is the last step in the chain before it actually gets music gets distributed. And it's where you have the final opportunity to polish something. And these are very specialized people that do this. They spend all day, just listening to music for a long time until they get good at it. But AI is rivaling them. AI is really good at that, and mastering engineers are hurting as a result. Now, where they're hurting is not from major labels, because major labels would prefer to have a real person. They can tell a difference. There is a difference. It's from everybody else. It's from the person that would usually spend $500 to get, their songs mastered. And now they're going, well, I can go to Lander online, or I can use one of the AI assistants and get in the ballpark. And they're not wrong.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess that's where level the expectations are set at, and what it is. And when you said the documentary, obviously I transitioned into the video world a long time ago. So when we did docs, because everybody fought us about licensing, nobody wanted to pay for licensing music. So remember the needle drop and the library musics? That became a thing. And we would just go and use it. And it broke my heart, because I knew I was putting buddies out of work who I used to use. Hey, let's go. We went in the studio and we would compose music to use in this spot. And now I can't. It's follow the dollars, as Lou's always, everything ends up in that point. So there is that level of what's acceptable and what's not. Lou, I could see you got questions.
Yeah, I was looking up, I wrote down a quote because I read Bobby's book, and he spoke to, I'm speaking like he's not even here. You said in your book that you can have AI make music for you, but it's not going to really be that great. You have to put yourself into it, and then it becomes something special. And what that rang to me was, like, when you're thinking of the electronics, like B&H photo video, they got the consumer level, then they got the prosumers, and then they have the pro room, which is that one guy who knows everything behind the counter that, nobody's really talking to but another pro. And then there's just hundreds of people buying the consumer stuff, a couple of, groups of people, tens of people buying the prosumer. So that's that pyramid. And it seems like AI speaks to that. You're not going to be thrown out of business if you're at that super high pro level.
That's pretty much the case. And pros know how to use whatever AI that they're using. They know how to use it as a tool, and that's what it's really good at. It's a good tool.
Bob, you and I have lived through technology changes. Even though we're 30, we've gone through so many technology changes just in the recording world. I won't even go into video. But first, automated consoles. And I remember everybody going, oh, it's just going to kill engineers. Automated consoles, it's going to kill engineers, blah, 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 blah. You can't do it. And as you can see behind me, I'm still an old analog dude. And then, we went to digital workstations, and that was the next thing that the sky was falling. Then it was MIDI that musicians were going to get replaced. Synthesizers. I can't tell you, being in New York, when Andrew Lloyd Webber hit Broadway, how the musicians union lost their shit because it was going to replace everything. And it just evolves into, and you said it repeatedly so far, tool. It's a tool. Yeah. Learn to master the tool.
Yeah, it's another evolution, that's for sure. We keep in technology, creation technology, it keeps on moving. There's no question. And music especially has always been on the forefront of technological changes. And you can go way, way back to, the beginning of piano rolls. Piano rolls came, music, was there, and took advantage of it. And then we went to records. We went to the, vinyl, we went to tape, et cetera, et cetera. Every time, excuse me, every time there's a new technology, everything changes, everything follows. And it's just kind of natural. So in the music business, for sure, and it's the same thing in any entertainment creative business. Something new happens in technology, and everybody finds a way how to use it.
Yeah, and that's really the whole trick in everything, is you figure it out. I know we have to take a break in a minute. I want to come back and talk about how you saw this and got way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Louis?
Yeah, he I tell you how he saw it. He went way, way back to Plato and an automatonic pigeon that was made to date when AI started. So that's how long Bob's been studying this stuff. We'll be right back to talk a little bit more with Joe and Mr. Owsinski. Welcome back. Great conversation. Let's pick it right up, Joe.
All right. So what I was most curious about is when I went through the book and realized how far you had done a tremendous amount of research. And this book didn't just happen in a week. But so you've had to have been involved in the AI avalanche way before this happened. Tell me, what was your journey that got you near AI technology early on?
Well, there's one company in particular. I'm talking about audio now, professional audio. There's one company that's been on top of AI way, way, way ahead of everybody, but has never announced it. And still, they don't use it as a selling tool. And that's Isotope. Isotope, okay. If you don't know, they make wonderful noise reduction tools that everybody in every audio business uses. And they've been ahead of the curve for a long, long time. So, that's where it started for me, understanding that they're using machine learning to make this work. And then gradually you started to see other plugins that would pop up and other uses for machine learning primarily, before it actually went a little bit wider than that. Machine learning is very focused, by the way. So what that means is that we're teaching the AI to about something. So for instance, it's noise. This is what noise looks like, it sounds like, and now that we identified it, let's do something with it. And noise reduction is one of the best AI tools that we have. So entertainment in general has been on this for a long, long time. We just didn't know it. I looked under the hood a little bit earlier than anybody else to kind of understand it. And then when things started to break out, then I jumped in,
And that's a lot. Your book. And here's the thing I saw right off the bat that was different. And again, we've done we've done interviews with people in different areas of production. And I have obviously a lot of friends who are like coding engineers in this world. And when I started seeing the plugins and the applications, that was such a brilliant way for you to bring it to the musician, because you gave them the fear factor's gone. You wanted a wah-wah pedal, you got it. Now you know what it is. Oh, you wanted a talk box? Okay, this is what you use. You took that approach and said, oh, you want really quality noise reduction? Here, use this. You want this? Here, use this. And here's 6 of them that all do it to different degrees. So I am pitching your book, I'm sorry. But I found it, for me personally, I went, oh, this saves me a ton of time. Because when I want that, dial it into that particular thing, oh, here, Bob already did all the research. And he pointed me to that. What was the mindset that you decided to approach the book that way?
Well, I thought I would try whatever I could, whatever was available, which meant that even though there's, let's say, 5 AIs in any particular category that was named, I might have gone through 15. Most of them for one reason or another. So I kind of looked at it as, what would I use in this situation, and what's kind of easy, not so much what's the most popular or what's getting the most hype at the time. So I came from that perspective, and I did try every single one that you can think of. I went through more than 100, which is a lot. Since then, there's new ones that have come along. I can't say I've tried every one of the new ones, but there's a lot of really good AIs out there, and they're getting better.
And do you see that moving forward, that the AI dominance will do, and I'm going to use the music side of this, what happened to synthesizers, where you had a whole front panel of engineering, and you had to be smart to be able to figure out how to do all that. And then it evolved, or disevolved, in my opinion, to push a button. Is that, you think AI moves in that direction? Because you even started with loops.
Yeah. We've already seen that. For instance, let's just talk about audio noise reduction. There are 3 excellent tools that I can think of that it's either no controls or just one. So Hush, which may be the best of them all, there's no controls at all. You just put the audio in and it comes out without the noise, and it's fantastic. The 2 other ones would be Ascentize DX Revive. Well, if you get the cheapest version, the $39 version, it's just one knob that, one control that does it. And the same thing with Waves VX Clarity. And so we are going in that direction, and I think that's the way it ought to go. We don't need more parameters. We don't need to spend more time. We want to get things done quickly, and this is helping us.
So when you're talking about those, because it was something I came up against relatively, I don't know, maybe it was 2 months ago. We had done opens and throws for a sporting event, and our hosts were standing. It was a hockey thing, and our hosts were standing in the event in the concourse. So you can imagine an arena with all these people, and we're trying to get them. And unfortunately, the audio guy, the A2, was using a pole, even though I repeatedly said, don't do that. We have lavs. Let's use near field, but nobody thinks I'm audio, so they ignore me. And when I got it back, and the editor was like, Joe, this is unusable. He said, listen to this. The background noise is equal to the dialogue, almost to the point that the background was actually louder. And he goes, and it's not as simple. So I said, you know what? Give it to me. Let me take it home. Let me play with it a little bit. But in old school, I got my 20 band out, and I'm starting to go in and try to find. And then I went, wait, this is stupid. There's got to be. I looked at your book, And I went, okay. And I ran it through that, and I got studio quality voice. It sounded like I did this in a booth, and it literally took no time.
Shocking, isn't
And I
it?
was like, and that's great because that takes the work out of the non-creative part of what we do.
Yeah. We want everything to go faster. Let's face it. Nobody wants to spend hours and hours over one task, whatever it might be. We want to get through it quickly so we can get on with the next creative endeavor that we're doing. And that's where any of these AIs can help, because if they're designed well and you use them well, they should just make life faster and easier. They should. Doesn't always work
Right.
that way. They
Yeah,
should.
exactly. And it's like anything else. It depends
Yeah.
the value of whoever's doing the engineering and how much they know about what the end product's supposed to be used for.
I had Shelley Palmer on my podcast. You know who Shelley is, right?
Yeah.
And Shelley is probably one of the most advanced people in this area that I know, and technology in general. And that was his stance, that people, and I started to ask him about, well, yeah, but sometimes it can take your creativity. He says, stop. I want to stop you right there. And his premise was just that someone that is really well trained in a particular area will know just what to ask, what to do, how to go about getting the most out of an AI tool, because you've been trained already, so you understand exactly what it is that it has to do. While someone who has no training or very little, or is a neophyte just getting started, they have no basis of, well, where is it supposed to go? There's no reference point. So that could take forever if you're not sure of what the result should be. And I think that's a real key. So, what that's telling us is it's not going to take our jobs, but we still have to work the way we always did. And yes, I think the jobs that are in danger would be entry level. So people that are doing stuff for the lowest part of the pyramid, as you were talking about before, that's the danger area right there, because people can't afford or don't understand that, there's more to it than what they're being shown or what they see or hear.
Right. And it's those tasks, especially in a studio itself, it's those tasks that get shoved off or used to get shoved off to an intern or somebody coming in. They'll show them how to do it. And then it's just, rinse, repeat every time a new project came in. And they just did that.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to be there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little trickier, as we were talking about within the pyramid. Lou, I see the looks in your eyes.
You read me so well.
I do.
Bobby, in your book, you divided it into 3 major sections. And I think one of the ones that I found most valuable was section 1, where you explain things, not just buzzwords like large language model or machine learning. Because you hear people all the time just throwing stuff out there. They don't even know what they're talking about. And then when you hand them a piece of software for noise reduction, like Hush, that was the name, right? That has nothing on it except send it through and it comes out. A neophyte wouldn't even know what the hell happened. So how do you advance forward without a strong understanding of what that Hush is doing behind the scenes? And I think that's a great value in the in your book. And I found that the time you took to focus on that and share that knowledge is, I think, critical.
One of the reasons why I write books is so I can learn as well. So I knew I couldn't write this particular book unless I went down the rabbit hole of what AI really is. So I took a number of courses. I took one from MIT, for instance, and I just let me get my arms around this and kind of understand it better. Now, I'm no expert, when it comes to computer science whatsoever, so don't confuse me with any of that. But I did attempt to try to understand a little bit better what's going on under the hood. It's progressed since then, and lately, just last week we had another big progression with DeepSeek that we had
Yeah.
with out of China. But that being said, you can expect these things to happen over and over. So it's just another evolution.
This is a point, and we're going to kind of deviate from the production world, but it is a point of contention and confusion for a lot of people when they hear the word AI. They don't understand it as its pieces. And I'm producing a podcast with a huge AI wizard down in DC. It's Capital AI, and his product, his engineering is used for C-SPAN. It's used in, I mean, everything you'd find in DC. His company is integrated into their software. So him and I were talking at one point, and it came up that the conversation came up with what you talked about as an individual tool of use of AI. They think of AI as something that just spans databases and looks for patterns and looks for nuances. And they just go through, it's just mounds and mounds of data that no human could have ever done and look for that little type of stuff. But from the outside world, they look in and go, oh, well, there's AI in my foot pedal. There's AI in my plugin. I don't get it. What database is that chasing?
Yeah, again, it's a lot. What you just talked about is more machine learning. Machine learning again, is very, very focused, and it does that. It looks for patterns. It looks you train it. All those how that gets trained is a big bone of contention, but nonetheless, you train it to say, okay, these are dogs, these are cats, and then it should understand when it sees pictures of one or the other. It doesn't always, but it should. So, it really comes down to that, how well you train it. And obviously that's what they're doing. They're training it to look for something or look for something that's not there as well.
What was your MIT experience like? I'm fascinated because I would love to have gone back and took a look at that.
It was an online program.
Mm-hmm.
And it was deep. I didn't understand some of it, but there was a lot that I did. And obviously after a while you understand more and more and more. But it was quite interesting because it really, and I have to say, a lot of it in this particular course was looking more at autonomous AI for autonomous cars. That was the end result. And I never took it that far. It's like, okay, I get it. I don't need to go there. I don't really care about that. But that's really, it was the intro to that. That was the end result, autonomous cars. So now they're talking about something that is doing a lot of things at the same time, but it's based on machine learning. Machine learning, basically, what is a stop sign? What color is it? Is it always the same color? Is it always the same shape? For instance, is this a person? Is this a building instead? Finding out the differences between them. So, that's a big thing. And a lot of the autonomous vehicles are pretty good at describing it. It's funny. I have a Tesla. I don't know if I should mention that some people get upset.
No.
Yeah. That being said, I have the car. I've had it for a while. So, but I was coming back and there's a graphic that comes up on display and it shows you everything everything that you can see. It's coming up on the graphic. So if there's cones on the street, it's displaying that. If there's people walking, it will show you that. If there's 4 traffic lights at an intersection, it will show you that and will show you the color.
That's so cool.
Now, why you need that on display, I don't know, but it's there and it does get that reaction. Everyone new sits in my car and goes, oh, this is amazing. It's like, yeah, but just, look up here. It's all there. But that being said, that's the part at MIT where they started to go into, well, here's all of the parts that are going into this. And this is just one really big one here, which again is identifying what's on the road, which, machine learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how often you speak to Steve DeFuria, but we had Steve on because he's playing with AI with Python, writing code,
Yeah.
but he's using the AI to help him write code to do the application that he's looking to build.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a fascinating. It's only a DeFuria with of that mind would figure out how to use that.
Well, it's not only him. I have a good friend that's been a coder all of his life, and he was really big in Yahoo in the beginning. He was there, Microsoft, a bunch of older companies. What's the big database company from back then? Doesn't matter. So he's a coder, and I was talking to him the other day, and he said, "Yeah, I use AI to help me coding." And I said, "Well, you should know all this stuff." He says, "Yeah, but there's some things that I got to look up, and this just makes it faster." So there you go. It's somebody that knows how to use this and could do it, could sit down and do it. But he's just saying, help me at this, help me do it faster. And it would come up with the lines of code. And because of his experience, he could look at it and say, this is quite right. Let me fix this, or, whatever. So it just goes to show you. And speaking with Steve, we talked about this over dinner a month ago or so. And, he was having that problem where it would tell him what the code was, and it wouldn't always work the way he expected because he doesn't have the coding experience to understand.
Exactly. Yep.
But nonetheless, he's still doing wonders with it, just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Lou, I was just going to say, well, Aaron, who did a lot of coding for us, did a seminar out in Vegas right? It was an IBM
Vegas,
thing.
yeah.
And
Yep.
we had him on, and he was talking exactly what you just said. He said, I'm writing code. He goes, and sometimes there's little packets. He goes, I don't need to do that. He goes, so I would just tell, give me that. But he knew to push it in where Steve kind of didn't know you're supposed to indent. He knew what it would look like coming out.
Yeah.
And this sounds, go ahead, Lou.
And I was going to say, one of the things, I think I actually watched it on Masterclass, not pushing Masterclass, but they had an AI a course there, or a lecture. And they said basically that if you know what you're doing and you have any kind of a repetitive task, it would definitely be worth your time to figure out how to have AI do that for you, and just plug that in. And then you save a whole bunch of time, as Bobby said, to be creative versus repetitive. I thought that was a big tip. Can we take a quick break for a commercial and come right back and continue? Excellent. Let's do that. We'll be right back.
Listen, here's your shot, which is what you need. It's available if you're interested. You can start right now, or you can wait years looking to get in, get skills, or miraculously get ahead. Sure, you can do the waiting thing too, but you absolutely can start and join us today.
Okay, so where do we go from here? This could be hours of conversation.
Let's tighten this up. If we can talk a little bit about future, looking into the vision, looking forward, looking at, what the studio, what the recording industry, and we kind of figured out music creation, but recording engineering, Bobby, you and I know that it takes the same amount of soul to really capture the right way, but the technology is the interface. Me to the interface is where it's going to get different.
One of the things that it can't do yet is one of the most important tasks in the music business, and that's mixing. So mixing, you basically have a number of individual tracks, mix elements, instruments, samples, loops, whatever they may be, and it's balancing them. But it's more than that. It's making sure you can hear all of them. So you use equalization to help you with that. It's and compression, and also they all sound like they come from the same environment. So you add some effects, some reverb, delay, whatever it might be. And AI can't do that right now. What it can do is a pretty reasonable balance for you. There's a couple out there that will balance everything up, and it's reasonable. But that being said, it's reasonable for somebody who just goes, I'm just a guitar player. I don't know anything about this, and I'm hopeless when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, that'll do a great job for them. For a pro, they'll go, okay, this will save me an hour or save me 10 minutes, whatever it might be. Yeah, go ahead. But still, it comes to these other tasks because it's multiple tasks. It's reasonably good at adding equalization, figuring out between mix elements what is being masked so you can't hear it because something has some frequencies that are in the range of another. And it's pretty good at actually figuring that out and making sure that you can hear everything well. It's not good at doing effects at all. And that's really where it comes down to the ear and the skill of the mixer.
Right.
So it can give you something generic, but it can't come up with that special something. There's occasionally a song that revolves, that popularity almost revolves in a subtle way, revolves around an effect that happens. And it's not really good at that. It's not good at all. So are we going there in the future? Well, we'd have to in order for it to be useful in that particular realm of audio mixing. If you're just talking about balancing, we're going that way. It's going to get better. So
What about in writing?
Okay. So we were talking about this before we started about the number of emails that I shoot out to people that are on my mailing list. And I do most of myself. Occasionally, though, you have the blank page problem. It's like, I kind of know what this is supposed to be about, and I can't get started. And AI is terrific at that, where you can just go in. I like ChatGPT because I've been using it for a long time, and just go in and say, yeah, I'm trying to say this, write it for me. But it's a starting place. You look at it and you go, okay, so yeah, okay, this is a good place to start. Now I can take it from there. The one place where I found it really useful is as an editor. Speaking of writing, I've used it on 2 books to be my editor. And it's worked fantastically well. So it's worked from this standpoint. It's gone in and it's found grammar errors and spelling errors, and that's kind of built into word processor anyway. But there were times when I would say, can you say this more clearly? This is the idea. This is the concept. Can you say this more clearly? And it would. And that would be great. But when you, just to show you how good this is as an editor, if you're self-publishing and you put your book on Amazon does a check. And they go through and they find all the errors. Now, some of them, it's not good at jargon, for instance, but other than that, it will find errors. And even if a human goes through it, it might be, a dozen small, tiny errors it'll find. I got 2 the last time.
Mm.
And both of those were genre or jargon. So it just didn't understand the word. So this is a really good use for it that I've found. But again, you have to tell it what you want. You have to understand what it's doing, and you also have to understand when it's not giving you what you want.
Right. Yeah, we've talked almost everybody. We've all said the same thing. It's if you can't write your prompt, if you can't communicate your thoughts through your prompt or your vision, it can't help you. You can't. It's not a Google search. You can't give it 3 words and think it's going to give you anything. I know we have to close, but you just said something that I'm very intrigued by. So I'm working on a book that has nothing. It's not technical. It's not anything. It's actually a children's book of sorts. And I get hung up with just because I need an editor. but I haven't found an editor who's willing to work on a project for no pay. So I don't know where the book's going. So I'm not going to invest in it because I'm too busy investing in the marketing for this company. So I'm looking, I was actually thinking, how do I use AI to act as my editor? Because it won't know do you wait till your book is done and then have it do that? Or do you chunk it out?
I've waited until the book was done both times, and I would just give it a chapter or less. Sometimes it's a long chapter, so I'll just give it these particular sections and then go through it like that. And what I've found is, there's this whole talk about prompt engineering and being very specific, but I've gone the other way on that. I found that if you get too specific, it confuses it more. And I've gotten less and less specific in my answers or my questions. Now, that being said, you tweak it as you go along. So it basically like, oh, that was good, but here's, can you do this as well next time? So you continue, what would be the best word? Refining it as you go along.
Yep. Lou, I remember the day you walked into a meeting and you had a stack of papers and none of us knew what the hell you were talking about. And you went, see this? See this thing? See this report? See this report? See this? Here's a story. Here's some. I'm like, what are you doing? Why did you generate all this shit? He goes, I didn't. And that's when all of a sudden there was this he had been quietly exploring chat and just blew it up on us at one time. So yeah, sneaky little guy.
Yeah.
You rascal, Lou.
Yeah. The power of AI.
All right, bud. I think can I just tell you why the show is called AI Cockroach?
Please, yes.
So Lou and I, at one point, again, just knowing the industry and knowing how to market and what was hot, AI was a hot topic. I said, let's do a show about AI. We just jumped on, the two of us, and Lou started dragging me through a conversation. And I got very emotional about technology changing. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Look at the technologies I've lived through. I have survived through this change and this change and this change. And not only have I survived, I've thrived. And then all of a sudden I just went, I'm like a fucking cockroach. It doesn't matter. It just keeps evolving through everything from a swamp to a major metropolis. An AI cockroach was born.
Well, you have to keep on changing and evolving with, the times, whatever's there, or else you stagnate. So you're either moving ahead or you're falling behind.
Yep. And you and I are very much the same, as is Lou. I get jazzed by challenges. I love the next thing. I get bored if everything becomes routine.
You go. Yeah.
All right, Bobby.
Thank you, Joe.
Lou, you good?
Lou.
Yeah, I'm good. Everybody, Bobby's books are available on his website, bobbyowsinski.com, and Amazon, and pretty much everywhere great books are sold. Go
to the website. There's a wealth of information in there.
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who lives in the industry, wealth of information.
Yeah, huge amount. Guys, thank you so much. And speaking of the AI Cockroach Show, here's our sign off. Goodbye, everybody. See you all next time on the next AI Cockroach Show.
Thank you.